Mm, I'm really trying to figure this out. Okay, it's actually working. And then window capture. Oh, cool, cool. If I could just put it to the bottom line. Be a lot better. Hopefully the mic is working pretty well. Um, no, that's not. Um, it's like it's like way too big. Hmm. So now let's see. Search our extensive curated collection. Oh, under fair use principles, my content transforms original material by adding commentary, critique, or educational value. Excerpts are brief, relevant, and properly attributed to the original creators and source This aligns with the copyright laws and the code of best practices and fair use for poetry. As a spoken word poet, I aim to explore and celebrate poetry through my perspective. And so we are on poets.org. Robert Frost. He's actually pretty dope. A Line Storm song. I don't think I've read this one before. The line storm clouds fly tattered and swift. Tattered and yeah, I can picture that. Like those clouds that are like almost like tiger stripes. Myriad. Vanish away. So he's painting a pretty good picture just in the whole first stanza. But then he comes in at the end, come over the hills and far with me and be my love in the rain. And I think that he's painting it in a way that he wants someone's love in the simple things, in the rain. A lot of moments in between happen in the rain. I'm on the second stanza right now. All song of woods is crushed like some wild, easily shattered rose. Is that some is does that have to do with some type of disillusionment? The birds have less to say. 1913. Was that around like the industrial era? The birds have less to say for themselves in the wood world's torn despair. Then now the numberless years, the elves, although they are no less there. All the songs of the woods is crushed like some wild, easily shattered rose. Because that part where he's talking about crushed like some wild, easily shattered rose. And the birds have less to say for themselves. So is he saying, like, even though these things are happening, come back with me to like the old ways or the simple ways? Those simple in between moments that talk to the soul. Like those moments that don't have to have much to them, you know, like the universal truths. That's where he wants to love somebody. There is a gale to urge behind, and Brute are singing down. And then this third stanza, there is a gale to urge behind a brute are singing down, and the shallow water is aflutter with wind from which to gather your gown. What matter if we go clear to the west and come not through dry shod? So no matter how we do it, throw caution to the wind and let's just go into the rain, into this gust, these gales, and just be in love. Like be in love in the storm. There's chaos all around us. Oh, never this whelming east wind swells, but it seems like the seas return to the ancient land where it left the shells before the age of the fern. And it seems like the time when after doubt our love came back amain. That's a pretty dope poem, if I'm being honest. It's like this type of love has always existed, a timeless love. A timeless love is a universal truth where if you are truly in love with somebody and they're in love with you and you're both in the rain, that it doesn't even matter because the love is there. It doesn't matter about these external aspects. What matters is that we two souls are right here loving each other in the rain. Whether the rain is looked at as a good thing or a bad thing or a beautiful thing or a tragedy, there's still love in the chaos. Super dope. And now let's check let's have a reaction to button poetry video. This is Neil Hilborn. I think I heard this one like years ago. It might be the same one. He looks different though. If I remember correctly, he had short hair. I don't know if he had a beard or not. It would be amazing to have a video on button poetry. It's just I don't know where and when I would film it. Like I do have a new camera and stuff, but I just don't exactly know when I'm going to um focus on it, or I don't know when I'm going to like sit down and say, okay, this, because I do want it to be special. Not perfect. I didn't say perfect. I want it to be special. And that means I have to put in effort, but right now I I have a powwow I'm going to try to make it to on the 12th. I was supposed to go on a hike, which reminds me I should probably text them. I will text the people I'm going on a hike with, a cousin and a friend. Mm. So yeah, I'll be seeing my other friend on this weekend. Yeah, this weekend he's gonna be taking me to the Voodoo Donuts. Oh man, Voodoo Donuts is so good. But on the 12th, I'm going to be heading to the UW powwow. And so it's gonna be my first powwow in I don't know how long. A long time. And I'm figuring a lot of things out, like the sobriety part of my life, which I've been sober now for 10 years and 3 months. Like community, yes, it's important to me. I'm just now figuring out how to engage with the community in a positive way. But like for that first half of sobriety, it really wasn't about, for me, it wasn't about living my life. It was about creating habits. And so I was completely focused on putting one foot in front of the other without relapsing. So it's not to say that my culture um wasn't at that time important to me. It's just that I was learning how to breathe while sober and dealing with a lot of anxiety, like dealing with anxiety a um with an unaltered mind was a very big occasion, almost like a repeating occasion, just like moment to moment. It was like hitting, like it was, and so I had to learn how to breathe in those moments. So I'll be going to a powwow in the at the UW. Um and I don't think I'll push myself too much. I'm going to just see how it goes. Maybe show up. Who knows? Maybe I show up 15 minutes and observe the celebration of community, and then I take off. Like I have no expectations. I wouldn't mind getting a picture with my nephew. He's the only reason I'm going. My nephew is going to be the head man there, I believe. So I'm just going to show up and in support and observe. Don't know if I'm going to engage, but yeah, that's going to be on the 12th. So, on that tangent that I just went on, I wouldn't mind having a video on button poetry because I just had a feature at Speak Out Seattle at Solo Bar. And then before that was the feature at the US Bank for Red Eagle Soaring. And then before that, I performed at the Literary Lines Gala at the Bellevue Library. So like I have things going on. Like um not this week. I was supposed to have a meeting because I might be performing at the Pacific Northwest Writers Conference. But that was supposed to be this weekend, but it didn't happen. So my friend and me are going to be going down to Seattle. And then I'm going to go down and practice at my friend's house. We're going to be practicing doing this instead of a bass, or maybe like a drum machine to this poem I had. And then we're going to be starting the endeavor of putting a guitar behind this other poem I have about toxic masculinity. That's the poem I shared at Solo Bar. Anyway, I have a lot of things going on. Sorry for the long tangent, but I have a lot of things going on. But dang, would it be fulfilling, right? Like it would definitely be an achievement in itself to have a poem on button poetry. But I have things going on, so not to bite off more than I can chew. I just want to stay consistent with my engagement, like the commitment to stay engaged, find things to do. And when I don't have things to do, find things to do, like, and that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but like to actively look for things to do when opportunities aren't offered, I still have the drive to create my own fate. And so we will check this poem out, Neil Hilborn. And I'm actually pretty excited.
The first time I saw her, everything in my head went quiet. All the tics, all the constantly refreshing images just disappeared. When you have obsessive compulsive disorder, you don't really get quiet moments. Even in bed, I'm thinking, the lock the door, yes. The wash my hands, yes. The lock the door, yes. The wash my hands, yes. And when I saw her, the only thing I could think about was the hairpin curve of her lips, or the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek. I knew I had to talk to her. I asked her out 6 times in 30 seconds. She said yes after the third one, but none of them.
So this is the poem that I seen all those years back, and it's just as powerful. It is just as powerful. The power that goes in human observation and its ability to transport us not only into that moment, but into the emotional moment that he was having, because like I don't think I have OCD, but I can almost feel the tension or the torture that he feels from being obsessive. I'm just kind of having an epiphany right now, because that's the way I am with writing, which kind of blows my mind. So the way that he's explaining this eyelash on her cheek is the exact same way that I will obsess over a line, because I'll write a line, like I will write a line that fits into a poem um and gets the message across and paints my observation, but like there's something in my mind that tells me, oh, it could be better, like there's something there that I'm missing, that I'm not getting. And so like I will wake up from a dream, because I lucid dream a lot, and I will wake myself up to grab my phone and then type the way that I thought about it in my dream, and then go right back to sleep. And so it is torture, like that. And I know that the word torture is like a word that we as humans are not only gonna hear throughout our lives, but we will overly use it in a playful way that will uh almost in a way desensitize us or devalue this word torture. But when I say that, like, I obsess with writing, I at times hate the fact that I have to sleep, because I would rather write poetry than sleep sometimes. I would rather write poetry than eat sometimes. There's just something about having a topic to write about, and then having each moment that I'm going to paint in the poem vivid and scratching at the surface, and a full pot of coffee. And then just before I even know it, it's like 7:30 in the morning. And I still have more to give to this poem, to this topic, to this moment, to the craft of writing. And my body's giving out, and my head is getting heavy, my eyelids are uh dry, and my stomach is rumbling, and my body is just fighting against my urge to keep writing. And it's almost like frustrating beyond anything I can explain beyond that. And so the fact that he is describing this eyelash on the cheek of someone who makes him feel like he forgets, it's very refreshing. Like the fact that I heard it before and I want to hear it again just goes to show the power of his delivery, of his writing, and his ability to transport us not only into the moment but into the emotional state.
She said yes after the third one, but none of them felt right, so I had to keep going. On our first date, I spent more time organizing my meal by color than I did eating.
Sorry about
Lips,
that.
the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek. I knew I had to talk to her. I asked her out 6 times in 30 seconds. She said yes after the third one, but none of them felt right, so I had to keep going. On our first date, I spent more
Oh,
time
wow.
organizing my meal by color than I did eating or talking to her. She loved it. She loved that I had to kiss her goodbye 16 times or 24 times if it was Wednesday. She loved that it took us forever to walk home because there are lots of cracks on our sidewalk.
Yep. He's explaining a lot of these rituals. These rituals that are his being that he can't help, and that somebody not only being fascinated by it, but like also taking on what might seem a daunting task to somebody else, that she takes on that task because well, I don't know the because it's just beautiful to see that something he might be insecure about, that she looks past that.
Together, she said she felt safe, like no one would ever rob us because I definitely locked the door 18 times. I'd always watch her mouth when she talked, 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 when she talked. When she said she loved me, her mouth would curl up at the edges. At night, she'd lay in bed and watch me turn all the lights off and on and 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 off. She'd close her eyes and imagine that days and nights were just passing in front of her. Some mornings, I start kissing her goodbye, but she'd just leave because I was making her late for work. When I stopped at a crack in the sidewalk, she kept walking. When she said she loved me, her mouth was a straight line. She told me I was taking up too much of her time. Last week, she started sleeping at her mother's place. She told me she shouldn't have let me get so attached to her. This whole thing was a mistake, but...
Yeah. So a fascination runs dry, runs its course, and it happens. It happens in life. And it doesn't seem like love for him with his level of OCD would be an easy thing to invest in, like to protect himself in the past, feelings would be secondary to his decision based upon his obsessive compulsive disorder. And at first she thought it was cute, and then she got bored with it, and then now she's getting annoyed with it. And it's difficult for him because that's part of who he is, and that really sucks. And I feel a certain connection to that because of my poetry, because it is well written poetry, and it's very impactful if you've never heard me before. And then it's almost as if people get desensitized by because I consistently show up at these places in the community and deliver to the best of my ability. But then it almost gets yahed off, like yeah. And in writing is a part of who I am. I can't see myself living without writing. Writing saved me a lot of the times as a young man. And then for it to be trivialized and almost seen as an annoyance would break my freaking heart. And that's what this guy's experiencing. is somebody that he's infatuated with just as much as his OCD, but it seems that he had found a source of obsession that didn't necessarily have the type of negative impact that his OCD, like, I'm sure that it feels like brushing your teeth, or wiping, or like like, like getting a drink of water, like, those things aren't necessarily negative, but like you do them just to do them. But then he finds a source of fulfillment from, love, and it doesn't, like, this love for this person doesn't give them the strain or the fatigue that these rituals would give. But then it's starting to wear down on his partner, which is understandable, because there are a lot of relationships where, let's say, one of them has a kid, and it's not to say having a child is bad. It's just that the person who doesn't have a kid, right, gets in this relationship, and now they, um by default or just by necessity, they have to put in extra work to make sure that um the child is being supported as well, or work and investment goes towards the child as well. But then that person could go find somebody else without a child, and then there would be less work to do. Not that it's good or bad or whatever, but um there would be less functions to integrate into the overall equation. And so this person who he finds attractive, and finds fulfilling, is starting to have a realization. Like, at first, maybe she thought, "Oh, I could do this. It's quirky, blah blah blah," and like, for whatever reason, the sense of realization is coming that, "Oh, this is my life now." Like those, and it's not even a life altering event that um can't be avoided, because it can be avoided. And the avoidance means that she's now sleeping at her mother's house. Man, yeah, that's rough. Ah, this poem.
How can it be a mistake that I don't have to wash my hands after I touch her? Love is not a mistake. It's killing me that she can run away from this, and I just can't. I can't go out and find someone new because I always think of her. Usually, when I obsess over things, I see germs sneaking into my skin. I see myself crushed by an endless succession of cars, and she was the first beautiful thing I ever got stuck on. I want to wake up every morning thinking about the way she holds her steering wheel, how she turns shower knobs like she's opening a safe, how she blows out candles, 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 blows out. Now I just think about who else is kissing her. I can't breathe because he only kisses her once. He doesn't care if it's perfect. I want her back so bad. I leave the door unlocked. I leave the lights on.
Hmm? Yep, overcoming. Wow, overcoming those rituals. Still such a powerful poem. Ah, man. Yeah. What a freaking awesome poem. And to think, right? Like, because he already obsesses about the things in his life. And that is crazy to think that some of the stuff that she does affects his OCD. And then, even without her presence there, that those rituals somehow scratch the back of his mind, and it just seems very recursive, like it feeds into itself. um wow. Wow, wow, wow. Willing to overcome, because I don't know the intricacies of obsessive compulsive disorder, so I don't know how far it goes. I just know that the way he explained his rituals seemed very taxing, you know. Um it's added strain. Like for me and you, we walk down a sidewalk, but then for somebody with obsessive compulsive disorder, it seems like our experience of walking down a sidewalk is like a flight of steps for them, and they're going up these steps. And for once, um to have the love of his life back, he would be willing to like walk that sidewalk. It'd almost be like walking up like double high stairs to make a look. I know that analogy is crumbling, but it's his it's his willingness to try. Man, he killed it. And then we'll just talk about a writing technique. Um One of the techniques that I do is when I think of a topic, I write as many things down as quickly as I can without necessarily um using brain power, but using like heart power, like the things. Because and I know, like, because like I will write from pure emotions, and it's just like talking with from pure emotion. Like, you're gonna say things that you don't mean, but when I do that, sometimes I can look at it and then I can dissect it with a logical mind. But then there are times when I just leave it in the poem, when I say something like I know I'm gonna regret this line, um, but I'm gonna leave it in there anyway. Um, and you'll hear that in some of my poems. There's a poem I write about social anxiety, and I talk about um over obsessing about the things I say in conversations. Um, are moments when I speak and I think I'm being clever, and then when it comes out of my mouth, it's just not what I thought it was going to be. Or it didn't land, or I didn't like. There are subtle nuances to jokes, like comedians will tell you, where like things happen in a certain way. Like, of course, you can't control it all, but there are certain emphases and certain nuances to a joke, and they have plenty of practice at it, and sometimes jokes don't land for them. So for me, who is not a comedian at all, and I say a joke that doesn't freaking land, I regret it, and I'll write about it, and I'll blurt it out in front of everybody. So that's one of the writing techniques I do. Is I once I find the topic, sometimes I just like word vomit, but in writing, and I get as much as I can out, and I'm just like typing, and then I press enter to go to the next line, and I'm just like typing as fast as I can, and not really trying to use my brain as much here and there. Yeah, but the main focus is like my heart, and then I'll revise and try to add structure to the poem. And then the revision, like most of my time, I'm revising. I revise just as much as writing a new line. So, like, half the time. And then, even then, I'll go back after however long and revise again because I have free time, and something about a poem. Like, I'll reread a poem sometimes because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to this open mic and I'm just gonna pick a random poem, and I'll go into that poem just to kind of refresh, and then something will come up to where I'll revise it again. But man, there are a lot of times where I'm very thankful that I um take the time to just like be honest. Honesty, like I value honesty. And I don't, it's not even that I value honesty from other people. It's just like I value the honesty with myself. Like I value logic, responsibility, and then honesty with myself. N- And there's like a self challenge and in freedom in there, but for the most part, honesty with myself is up there. So if you're going to be writing poems and you're not honest with yourself, you might find yourself up on stage trying to appease the audience, and it's just not going to feel right. Don't do that to yourself. Like, as a writer, you deserve to be as truthful as possible, so that like because it is very therapeutic in a way. So just a writing technique I would suggest is like, even write the shit you're embarrassed to write. Well, that was a little bit more time than I expected. So with that, I will leave you guys to just ponder on some of the stuff I said. It's my first whatever this is. So, yeah.